What's up guys, it's Richie Rich back yet again, and in this vid I'm gonna let you know on the biggest secret from what I've been keeping from you, the RichManZ forever. Why do they call me the rich man? Be sure to check this out. University, at that time I was already working. I worked 2 jobs, like kind of part-time, just to support my studies, and it was cool, getting pocket money from work. I started working already at 16, and then I was working again, working throughout till 18. So as I was in college and university, I was working on the weekends. So when I was in school, I was there kind of studying, but I would always get distracted by the the concept of getting money, and I liked it, and it wasn't so much, I wasn't really a kid who was getting allowance, or like if I wanted something, it would be given to me. It's like I was taught way young that if you want to get something, then you gotta do it yourself. Just don't say it, just do it. So when I would start get these like pay slips from these workplaces, even how itsy bitsy it was, I always was like, this is like independence for me. It's like I felt with getting these this finance, and just this any kind of this just income that was coming in, I felt like I could be wherever I wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big fan of like I've always been like a big like comic book guy and a big superhero guy, and I always loved the idea of like being just more than just a regular person, and anytime I got like money, to me there was this kind of thing, like I felt like I was just these kind of super forces. It was just a weird way to describe it, like my happiness, or like anytime I would be through struggle, when I got money and it was the right way, like I worked and earned it, I always felt like something more than something more than just a regular person like I am. Always when I started working those jobs in my late teens and still going to college and uni, it's like I really started to get like I'm just less focused on the whole idea of like getting this going to school, going lectures, going to tutorials, and trying to get this degree, which is not really for me. It's just for the people above me to say like, okay, this person was able to achieve this, but it's not really what I wanted. So when I would just do these jobs and that, a lot of people like around me used to see me like going to these different works, especially when I got into my going into my early 20s. I was always just about anything. Some people thought I was doing other stuff. I was always on the job, and it just wasn't even just like going to your traditional like if you're working like at Starbucks or something, you're working there and you get your pay, then you go to your other job, it could be at school or something. I was making money from like legit hustling, selling whatever at the time. All this stuff like I'm doing now, I was doing that to some degree, back in the day. So I will never forget, one day I was at the barber's, and so this is a barber I was mainly going to for at least a long time. It was not far from the elementary/primary school I was going to. So I remember I sat on the seat and he just looked at me, and I remember there was this pause in the air, so I remember at this time I'd already been called like Diamonds, I'd been called Alien, they used to insult my like surname and that, but that's another story in that. But I remember we sat down, and I remember I was there. When it's nice when you can go barbers and you can pay for your own haircut. it's completely tremendous. You know, so I remember sitting down, you know, he put like the cloth around me and he was like, what do you want? And you know, he put the cloth around me, so he looked me in the mirror and he said, okay, what do you want? What do you want me to do on it, rich man? You know, and I was like, what? Oh, he said, you know, you're the rich man. Yeah, you know, so I was in the barbers and the Ghanaian gentleman, he said rich man. And I was like, huh, you know, it's one of them where I lit my lips and I just love the sound of it, you know, and even to go back on a kind of mysterious kind of that coincidence, name like Richard and my mother's maiden name is so you got Richard and my mother's maiden name is Mansory, you know, so it was something I didn't even know before, and this barber, he called me Rich Man before that, but it was weird because when I looked at it I was like, okay, you got Richard, then you got Mansory. Mansory is spelled Mansaray, Richard Richard. You know, what happened was when I put Richard, then I put Mansory, and then I, you know, just cut the end of it. I got rich, then man. I looked at it again, I was like, rich man, rich man, rich man, rich man. You know, and that's kind of the way like it started. You know, it was just that time like I kind of broke away from, you know, the whole kind of thing of the norm. You know, you get that degree, you know, you just that structured lifestyle that they already have waiting for you. It's like I broke out of that and I went more on like that kind of work circuit, you know. That's around that time that that name kind of got, you know, put out, you know, rich man, you know, rich man, you know, oh, must have so much jobs, he must have a rich man. This is stuff I was hearing from people because they were seeing me, not even just in London, but sometimes just all around UK and sometimes even Europe, of just like trying to do whatever I can to get this bread, you know, not like getting it easy money, because there's no such thing as easy money. Working hard and earning it like a man, maybe even a rich man, you know what I mean? But it was just like a name that just always stuck, and I made sure even when I got it, I made sure this, you know, was one of my first like tats, you know. Sometimes when I'm in like some of the most bleak situations where I have to really stand tall and go forward, I will always say in my mind like, I'm the rich man, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I may couldn't do this if I was just normal Richard, but because I'm the rich man, I can conquer this, you know. And I feel like it's very important for so many people to kind of have that, you know, because like, you know, there's been times, I've even said it, you know, that I've gone through depression, you know, and when I would say, I remember one of the times, and this is your story, when everything was going upside down, that year that I keep talking about, 2017, you know, I remember like one of the times I was gripping my fist, I was like, this cannot be happening, you know, I'm the rich man, you know, and even now when I'm saying, I'm just feeling that in my like body, like I had that will to kind of like say, you know, it was gonna be over, but I said, no, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna keep on pushing, I'm gonna keep on persevering, you know. So that's what like the rich man, like, you know, means. It's like that whole kind of like, it's a whole kind of like freedom, but the whole kind of like, you know, especially for someone who's come from my experience, I've always someone who's been pushed to the end, you know. I've always like, and it was even one of my friends said this, you know, I've always been someone who's gone into the deep end first rather than gone into the shallow waters, you know. I've always stepped outside of my comfort zone, you know, no matter what I've been doing, you know, and I would use this like character of the rich man to kind of, you know, be able to, you know, do whatever it is, you know, like whether this kind of like I said, jack of all trades, and in the past like I needed to be that guy, you know. So it never, being like the rich man never meant so much about like you know, like I ain't gonna lie, I do feel like I have been deserved that payday, you know, to relate, you know. But in essence, what the rich man has meant for me is just, you know, the bottom line is just like, it's just freedom, you know. Because a lot of, and this is the truth, a lot of freedom was taken away from me when I was really growing up in the UK. That's why it wasn't really such a stretch or like that difficult for me to leave UK. I was the guy, and I keep saying this, I was the guy who was told point blank in the face, you're not gonna achieve anything, you're not gonna become somebody. What I mean? I got so many like days where I was just like, I would say to myself, like the show, a show that would be very similar, and if I, if this ever, like clicks, if people get, if this ever clicks, I would love to do a show like Chris Rock did about Everybody Hates Chris, because at least at least 90% of the stuff that happened to that show happened to me, and Chris, just change Chris and put Rich. A lot of the events that occurred to Chris Rock, and I really think that helps, because Chris Rock has even noticed saying that what happened with him like for 18 years growing up in New York, growing up in what was it, Bedside, growing up, that enabled him to become this like legendary comedian. What I mean? So I think some people, they prosper from like hardships, so like, I feel like I've been in that stage forever. It's like now I'm here, I'm in Canada. This has been one of my dreams for like about a good decade or so, making it out of UK, but it's like I still believe there's a horizon I still gotta achieve. There's stars. There's like a star that I've still gotta like kind of like grab, and bring that and contain that power. So it's RichManZ nickname. I'll actually go on to kind of like what I wanna, because I don't think I've said this, like really what I'm looking to achieve for like 2020 and just onwards. What I really I'm aiming to go for. So number one, obviously, it's money. When I mean this, like honestly, is like and this is where the rich man comes, and I sometimes this way I say like I say like, oh, I'm the richest man on earth. I'm a firm believer of the one who works the hardest should reap the most benefits. What I mean? Like if there's the guy coming into work early, and the first one to come in and the last one to leave, whether it be at work or like just like work, or he's like training to become in that position of like a career, that's the person who should be be getting the rewards. And for a long time, when I was back where I'm originally from, I was the first one up and the last one to sleep, because I was going out full days, and it just was getting annoying of just doing all this work and just not getting anything. Like I'm such a I've always been more of a chill person. For me, the idea of just having your own kind of financial freedom and not having to go to these places and beg them to give you what you deserve, it's the best thing. And ever since I started working those jobs, as I mentioned, getting that own independence, I always dreamed and always said the day I can get this financial freedom, that's when legitimately I'll be the rich man. Like not having to answer for no one, I can be my own master. And that's why I had to go through all those trials and tribulations to get even to this point, because even this point is good. I know I can definitely go 10 times better, but because of that, it's like I'm way more stable than someone who's not ever left their comfort zone, who's not had to go through that pain and struggle, being homeless. What I mean? Someone who has not been through that, we wouldn't appreciate, actually getting this financial freedom. So yeah, definitely first one is like for this year. I'd say it's money, but I just definitely want to be more financially secure. So number two, definitely this year was travel. I'm someone who's always been, and this is why I really had a distaste for like just being in the school. I felt like it was cell block B, in a prison. I've always been someone who's always been on the move. I love the idea of you have this whole planet and you can go to different places where like the sun rises, the sun sets. There's weather from the highest climate to the lowest climate. There's different cultures. There's diverse areas. There's not so diverse areas. I really really got on board with this whole traveling experience when I started to move out. When I started to get these big paychecks from my workplace. One of the first big trips I ever took was I went to New York City. And I went there by myself on my lonesome, paid for my ticket, paid for everything. I just spent just under a week there, but just being there, being in Times Square, walking the Mary streets of New York City, and it's like for someone who was just all this time was just in, that part of the world, it was such a great, it was just a long lasting and great like impression on me. I was like, we're sometimes only here for a short period of time, and within that time, wouldn't you like to have tasted, I'd like taste like seeing all this like kind of different, ventures, like all these like, landmarks, what I mean? So like, it very because I'm also like a movie buff as well. For me, what I want to definitely achieve this year is I must visit Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. It's always been like it's always been an image that's always been in my mind, like a kind of like like I wouldn't even believe myself, kind of like me even being here. I would never even believe myself like getting to Hollywood, but I was the one who had those same aspirations of not going of trying to get to Miami. I thought I would never get to Orlando, Florida, go to Disney, and I did all of that by myself. So Hollywood has always been this kind of mesmeric kind of dreamland. It's where movies, the origins of cinema created biggest stars like Jack Nicholson, but was it Johnny Depp, Denzel Washington, they've all been through LA, so how can the richest man on earth not ever pass this? So definitely that's one of my big expectations, this year is to travel to Hollywood, California. So yeah, number 3 is just I call this one more of just confidence, and this is a real big one. So yeah, number 3 is just like confidence and also kind of an importance, and this is a very strong thing. I felt like with me, and like I said, some people kind of feel this a different way. I'm like, my kind of personality has always been a do-it-yourself kind of attitude. If you see these tats, this clothes, the room, all my videos and that, a lot of it has always been underlining bomb factor has been it's always been my vision, to do these kind of things, and to get like to where I'm at now, it did involve a lot of finance. What I mean, it's like a lot of jobs I didn't want to do, a lot of places I stayed too longer when I should have left. What I mean, there's a lot of sacrifices to get that. So I sometimes look at, like, if I had already had the funds to do these kind of things, like get my camera, get my laptop, even like when I was doing I think I talked about this when I was doing modeling. Sometimes like these agencies, they try to scam, and I fell for it, what I mean? So like I would do modeling sometimes only up to a bit, and when the scams came, I wouldn't pursue it. But then there were some legit agencies that I could have done. So there was always this kind of position of like I would get stuck, in various times, especially when I was originally back home, of just trying to venture into all these different things. But the P wasn't there. So I remember there was always this like a low self-esteem when I would do these kind of new things, and I was always like, man, I maybe not be able to come back another time. So like, for instance, like I used to do capoeira. Brazilian capoeira was like a martial arts and dance, kind of like it's a combination of like dance and martial arts skill. So the derives from Brazil and also was made in Angola. So I used to do classes like that, and I remember start liking it. Meeting new friends. I'm also learning about the Brazilian culture, the language, and because at the time I wasn't working like a proper job where I was getting funds from. I had to always dip in. I would sometimes do one class and I would miss the following one and come back the next time I got funds, and at the time I wasn't getting any kind of proper support because they were like, well, why are you wasting your time, doing this class? You understand? So that used to get held up, and I remember like it would hurt my self-esteem because it's something you wanted to do and everyone else had no problem paying their fees for the class, and I would just come in and out. The teacher would always say I had tremendous potential, and I felt like I wasn't really pushing really like fulfilling it, because I didn't have the funds. It always was the case, So I remember like I remember like when I would actually get fun, be like financially secured, because there was always like bits where I had enough money to take care of myself, like when I came here, when I moved out for the first time, when I was like working, got my job for the first time. I was in areas where I was always okay, like I'm working this, I'm getting this amount a month, even when I started getting paid off like online, when I was earning this amount of money, I felt like just this kind of confidence, like my shoulders would, be propelled more up, my chin would be up, I'd start like getting, new clothes, you know what I mean? Because you'll find out as your status starts to build up, you'll start to kind of get like, it's like the look will kind of go with your status. If you kind of understand, like if you're starting to earn this amount of money, you will kind of look at, when you do like kind of window shopping, you'll kind of look and be like, hold the phone, I can actually get that. That happened to me so many occasions where I was just a common window shopper. I used to like this watch, and or get this like kind of earring, and I'm not the biggest materialistic person, but when you see something you like and it can work with you, and you got the money for it, you should enjoy it. So I remember when I could go these places and be able to get something that you worked hard for and you deserved it. It used to really, really build my like confidence, and everything just felt smooth like butter, so that's another one. It's like just the confidence. The last one is proving them wrong. Yeah. Proving them wrong. Yeah. As I said, there, it's funny when I talk about like the rich team, and the rich team derives from like what the the rich man, the rich man has to have his team, to become the richest man on earth, But why I say the rich team in essence and why it applies to me is the rich team is more of like people who were shut down, who were like total outcasts, misfits, who were basically said in any kind of language that you can't become this, you're nothing, you're worthless, just go do something else, from people who are never gonna do anything themselves, just like negative vibes, vibes that when it really attacks like a young person and growing up, they can kind of lose faith, so the whole idea of like, this team is just to, kind of like, just try and empower yourself. Like I always felt like, well, especially when I would get this money that was very deserving, that I know this money that I believed I deserved, I worked my ass for, and I got it. It was like it was always like a kind of punch in the face to the bully who was calling me the alien. It was like a karate chop in the neck. For the ones who was calling my basically insulting where I'm from. So it was always like a kind of proving people wrong. You don't think I'm gonna become this. Just watch, wait and see. I'll become the one who owns the whole thing, the whole kind of spectrum. It's just that, I feel like every day, me just being here, it's like I'm proving people wrong, and it's a really cool thing because, I feel like me making it, it's like we all made it, because people in this exact same position, like I was kind of 3 years ago, where everything turned around, where the people on top, and it can be family and friends, I learned, who's are the ones who are really going to support you when you get down. You'll find out the ones who really kind of want you to, succeed. Then there's the ones who are just going to kind of be there when it's only, when everything's cool, when everything's good, everything's like cool as it, everything's like nice and dandy, so it's very important for those, like I said, those people who like never gave 2 shillings about you, to kind of just like forget about them, The whole thing is empowering yourself, when you wake up, say I'm on the team, say I'm working with the richest man on earth, like I always do, I love it now, like, I feel like, even though technically Jeff Bezos is the richest man on earth, I feel that in my kind of warped mind, I'm the richest man on earth, but, the whole idea of like, I wake up and I'm like, I look around, I go to the CN Tower and I'm saying, I go to downtown Canada and I say, I made it, they quote DJ Khaled, they want to kick you down, then they want to kick you where you and you are, so many people, like I said, could wish they could even have thought of like an inkling to have a courage to do what I've been doing. And I know there's like millions of other people who are in that positions, but they sometimes let that negativity of what so and so say to put them down. So my idea of like the team in general is like just to prove people wrong. They said we couldn't get this this money, this cash to splash, to CTC. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna prove them wrong. So that's number 4, folks. That's my 4 expectations from 2020. So far, like being here now, this is just about my 2nd month in Canada. Like I said, every day I'm here, it's like walking on sunshine. Whoa, yeah, legit. Sometimes just burst into songs in the subway. But yeah, it's just a dream come true. Because there was times when I honestly, I always believed I could do it, but I was like something. It is weird, like something catastrophic had to happen, so I had to overcome in order to make it. Because there was a period where I was kind of, I wouldn't say living that comfortable life, but I was kind of relying on someone to kind of save me. Like I would have never forcefully pushed myself to get to Canada at that time. I would have just waited and been like, okay, maybe someone will give me $400, pay my visa, buy my ticket and get there. And the good thing is I woke up at the correct time to understand that, no, if I'm gonna get to Canada, even if I can't get on a plane, I'll have to swim there. And I'm not even saying that as a joke, that was my intentions from when I made it clear saying, yo, I am getting out of here. I am getting out here. You know what I mean? I put everything on the line, back against the wall. And when you had that mindset, it became way more feasible to do. You know, stay tuned for more upcoming videos. Peace to